Kamisato Ayaka is getting another rerun in version 4.3, so with that, many of you may be in the dilemma as to should you pull for her. And so, as a forever Ayaka main, it is my time to shine. Alright, so yeah, I couldn't resist Monsieur Blastinior or Atrice Mechanique d'Analyse Cardinal Ayudex Daddy Nuvillet. But still, Ayaka has carried me for a long time and still carries me through parts of the abyss. So based on my experience, I shall help you decide if you should pull for Ayaka. Kamisato Ayaka is a sword user, cryo DPS, and as mentioned in the thumbnail, the best cryo DPS, in my humble opinion. What about Coco Goat and Rai Ashley? They're alright. What makes Ayaka my favorite cryo DPS is just the fact that she's a sword user. Now this is just a personal bias, but I find bow users a little harder to use because I play with the controller, and let's be honest, Genshin's controller optimization sucks. And Risley, what can I say? She just deals more damage. Ayaka is an absolute monster of a DPS, and she's been that way since early days of Genshin. The biggest highlight of her kit is her burst, which just by looking at the stats may not look that impressive, but it's not about the numbers here, but about the numbers here. This skill hits 20 times. So this number that you're seeing here, basically multiplied by 19 and then add this one. How about now? Ayaka doesn't deal a lot of damage with her attacks like Ganyu, but she deals a lot of those attacks in a short period of time. Following right after her burst is her charge attack. This ability is not to be underestimated. It's in fact so good, some people actually build a more charge attack centered Ayaka. A charge attack deals 3 instances of damage, each attack again dealing a lot of damage. Her elemental skill is meh. Along with all this damage goodness comes also some pretty good passives. This one is basically a special dash, sort of like Mona, that of course aids in exploration, but also comes with an additional and quite significant benefit. It infuses Ayaka's attacks with cryo, meaning you can continuously deal cryo damage. It also applies cryo to any enemies nearby when she comes out of her special sprint. Another passive of hers recovers 10 stamina after she comes out of her special dash, which means you can consistently deal cryo damage with a mix of charge and normal attacks, and can also go into a never-ending bungee dance. Another great thing about Ayaka is she's easier to build than some other top-tier DPSs of the old times, all because she's cryo. Her being a cryo DPS allows her to utilize the Blizzard Slayer set, which if you don't know is one of the most broken sets of this game. Now there are many ways to use Ayaka, but I'm only going to talk about the best one. A freeze team, and that's where the Blizzard Slayer set comes in. So in my last should you pull for this character video, I talked about how it's hard to build Hu Tao because you need a good crit ratio. So the best part about building Ayaka is you don't. Simple as that. While in case of Hu Tao, you need at least 60% crit rate and anywhere close to or more than 200% crit damage, which is hard because I know we may be different, my friend, but our luck isn't. But luckily, Ayaka doesn't need much crit rate at all. All you need to do is stack as much crit damage as possible, as high as 300% even, and you can leave crit rate to as low as 20 to 25%. Why? The 4-piece Blizzard Slayer set gives you 20% more crit rate on opponents affected by cryo. Plus, it also gives you an additional 20% crit rate on frozen opponents. And that's not all. A freeze team generally has 2 cryo characters, and thus you get the cryo resonance, which, hear this, gives you an additional 15% crit rate on opponents affected by cryo or frozen. How's it looking now, huh? In all my time playing this game, balancing a good crit ratio has been the hardest of challenges I've ever faced here. So Ayaka back then was my first choice as the most perfect DPS, almost just made for me, and so I just went and got her with my guarantee. Only later did I realize I was in a little over my head. Alright, we discussed the damage, we discussed the build, we discussed the best reaction, but what about the most important detail anyone who clicked on this video actually cares about? Is she free to play friendly? Now in a very straightforward answer, Ayaka as an individual character is in fact free to play friendly. She's great at C0 and has a variety of good 4-star weapon choices, one of the best being Anemuma Kageguchi that you can just craft with billets. Also you can still go for her constellations if you want, but they are in no way necessary. And in the rare case you're a whale, you can go as high as C4, as then you'll get a 30% defense decrease on the enemies hit by your burst, but I can't recommend even whales to go any higher than this. And even this isn't necessary to build a strong Ayaka. Also if you really want, you can go for a weapon, though that isn't necessary at all either, but it is still in fact her best in slot. And with that, we've come to the hard part. Ayaka is a princess if it wasn't apparent already. Rich girls and their weird habits, huh? A princess must be accompanied by those of equal status. Featured 5 stars for a featured 5-star. Ayaka Luxury is one of the most expensive team comps in the game. As it consists of all limited 5 stars, it is pretty daunting for a free-to-player. Even I haven't completed it yet. But it's no call for concern. There are some excellent replacements you can use in their stead. Like in place of Kazuha, you can use either Venti or Sucrose. In place of Kokomi, you can use Mona, or if you don't have her either, even someone like Shincho or Barber. Now keep in mind the best options here are still Kokomi or Mona, but either of those can still be viable as well. And finally, in place of Shenhe, you can use Diona, Rosaria, Layla, or even Kaya. With this, you can still build a free-to-play party, but I have to say that every 5-star edition does bring a lot of value to Ayaka's team and damage. The most important one in my opinion being Kazuha. Not only can he pull the enemies together, allowing you to freeze them all at once, his elemental damage buff greatly increases Ayaka's personal damage. As for the Hydro, if you already have Mona, she's almost just as good and in some cases even better than Kokomi. And for Shenhe, I don't even have her, so how do I give you a comparison? All in all, building Ayaka alone is easy enough, building her team is costly. Now this isn't a video on how to build her or her team, so I'm not gonna go into too much detail about it, but there are other options too that you can consider, though I don't recommend them. Teams like Reverse Melt, Fridge or Monocryer are also something you can try if you want, but her best team com is definitely a freeze team. But with all that, what about her pull value? Now this isn't 2.0 anymore, and now there are some really great DPSs out. Dragon Ball Z, especially knocking everyone out of the park, but regardless, she's still a great character. Now in the current situation, with her returning with Navia's debut, followed by Raiden Shogun's rerun, that does make things a little more difficult. If I had to choose between one of them, I'd probably go with Raiden, but that's just my simping going wild. For a more analytical answer, Raiden is a more flexible unit than Ayaka. She can be used as a DPS, though not as good as Ayaka, but can also be used as a sub DPS, a support, a battery. She can fill in many roles and is also easy to build, especially for a Hyper Bloom team. So if that's what you want, you can wait for her banner instead. At this point, it's really just about your choice. They both have great pull value, and sadly, as a free to play, you have to choose. So just choose whoever you like more or think you could use better. Oh, and why didn't I talk about Navia? Well, no offense darling, I still love you, but she's Geo! Honestly, with Geo, it is totally just about you. If you like it, you can go for it. There are no viable reactions or any variety of team comps. There is nothing to talk about. It's mostly just Mono Geo. If you like it, go for it. I can't say anything else. Okay, so that was all I had. All I can say now is Ayaka is a great character and an amazing DPS. So if that is what you need, an absolute monstrosity of a unit that can just erase the enemies out of existence, go pull for her and enjoy the spectacle of Kami Sato art. Sumetsu! Thanks a lot for watching. Leave a like if you find this video helpful. Now we did talk briefly about Raiden here, but do you think that was enough to cover the glory of the almighty Narukami Ogosho, Queen of Thunder, Inazuma, and me? So yeah, her dedicated video will be coming out soon as well. So subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time.